So, skepticism, a philosophy based on the idea that nothing can ever be known for certain, most prominently in inaccurated by first by uh, Cesar Beccaria. So this is Cesar Beccaria. Beccaria was the son of Milanese aristocrat of modest means. From the early age of he displayed the essential traits of his character, a high vitality temperament, the result of a period of enthusiasm followed by depression and uh, an activity which has reserved and somewhat vacuum in his social contacts but placed great value on his personal and family relationship. At the age of 8, he was sent to Jesuit school in Parma. Beccaria later described the education he received there as fanatical and stiff, stifling to the development of human feelings. Although they revealed the mathematical aptitude title in his student days gave in indication of the remarkable intellectual achievements that were soon followed. In 1758, he received a degree in law of the University of Pavia. So, in 1760, Beccaria proposed marriage to 16 years old Teresa Blasco, encountered the obdurate position on his father. The following year, on the marriage took there without parental consent, and the young couple began their life together in poverty. The bridge between father and son was ultimately repaid, and Vicaria and his wife were received into family home. In 1762, a daughter, the first of his three children, was born. So next, Marquess of Vicaria Bonicia. Marquess of Vicaria Bonicia, Vicaria Cesar Bonicia, Marquess of 1738 to 1794, Italian economist and proponent of judicial reform. Cesar Beccaria was the author of the most famous Italian work of the Enlightenment of Crime Punishment, and and he was born into royal family of the state of Milan, which was part of Australian Habsburg Empire and was schooled by the Jesuits in Parma. After receiving his law degree from University of Pavia in 1758, he returned to live in Milan. Beccaria was Swiss, where the most important decades in the intellectual and the emotional life. He was temperamentally inclined to tyranny and anxiety, but when young could be galvanized the inspiration and express his feeling in the language of Rossi. He married the first wife in 1761 against strong resistance from his family and hold on crimes and punishments. In 1763, when he was 25, his friendship with Pietro Verri in 1728 to 1797 and few other ardent young Milanese reforms did not, however, Oldas and 1760s, for in their eyes he seemed to lose of his vitality and settle into arid and routine private life, which nevertheless allow him to hold his melancholy at bay. Beccaria himself dated in his discovery of the Enlightenment to 1761, when he began to read works of French and Scottish philosophies and discuss them with a circle of young friends led by Petro Vitti in all provinces of the Australian Empire, include including Milan, absolutist reform emanating from Vienna continued to encounter entrance resistance from noble and is ecclesiastical corporation and from judicial culture of the ancient regime. Ve- very Vicaria and their cohort wished to mm, modernize rationalize the economy of legal system in the eighth enlightenment, circular morality, and supposed governmental reform and crimes and punishment was first established in 1764, with subsequent addition following rapidly. Beccaria prepared the edition now regarded as definite in 1766. The work became known in France, though the translation of André Morellet in 1727 to 1819 of really uttered the Italian next Beccaria for some reason never protested against this, and then it spread throughout Europe. It was attacked by conservatives everywhere and was defended by adherents adherents of the Enlightenment. Voltaire composed a commentary on it in uh, 17 16 October 17, 1666, 666. Vari Vicaria joined to Paris to bust in the administration of philosophies there, but Vicaria quickly became disappointed and fled back to Milan. On crimes and punishment combines elements from social contracts theory with utilitarian position in it positions. It touches on many aspects of law and justice in rapid impassioned style, completely um, abjuring legal techniques. Criminal law ought to state clearly what is forbidden and what is penalties are and ought to be applied uniformly to all with no rooms and directionally interpretation by juries or magistrates or gracious pardon from the sovereign. The penalties themselves should be careful proportioned into corresponding crimes and calibrates to deliver the minimum of punishment necessary. Vicaria so in all cases to minimize or abolish the use of violence and infliction of plan. He argued against the use of torture in a gathering of evidence, highlighted an absurdity of against the death penalty, emphasizing the failure of to deter. Next, the death of the work was guaranteeing individual citizen against the arbitrariness, delay secretary, and useless and excessive violence in the codification of the law and the application of penal sanction over the book. Its sustained staff and judicial culture of ancient regime as well as sketch a principle on which it ought to be reformed so as to produce the greatest happiness shared among the greatest number. So next, Cesar Lombroso. So this is Cesar Lombroso. Cesar Lombroso, described as the father of modern criminology. So Cesar um, Lombroso is literally the father of criminology. Cesar Lombroso theory of born criminal dominated thinking about criminal behavior in the late 19th and the early 20th century. November 6, 1835 to October 19, 1909 was the founder of the Italian School of Positivist Criminology. He rejected the established classical school which held that crime was characteristic trait of human nature and that rational choices were the foundation of behavior. So he literally reject um, the established classical school. Lombroso using a scientific approach and concept drawn from physiognomy and early eugenics, psychiatry, and social Darwinism argued that criminality was inherent and born and that the born criminal was be identified by physical defects which confirm a criminal as savage or atavising and particular identifying characteristics are no longer considered valid. The idea of factors that predispose certain individuals to commit crime continues to be fundamental foundational to work in criminology. Together with together with his emphasis on the scientific method, this revolutionary approach has arranged Lombroso the title father of scientific criminology. Next, William Wixp- William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror for obeying William the Conqueror or William the Bastard or William of Normandy, French Guillaume was born in uh, 128 in Paris, Normandy, France, and died on September 9, 1087 in Duke of Normandy as William II from 1035 and King of England as William from 1066 of the greatest soldiers of the lords of the Middle Ages. He made himself a mightiest noble in France and then changed the course of England history and his conquest by that country. So William the Conqueror is literally a conqueror of his idea um, or his system that he protest. Enrico Ferri. So Enrico Ferri. Enrico Ferri was born in Lombardy in 1856 and worked first lecturer and later as a professor of criminal law, having spent time as a student of Cesar Lombroso, while Lombroso's research anthropological criminology very focused on the social and economic influence of the criminal and crime rates. Very research led to him postulating theories calling for crime prevention methods to the mainstay of the law enforcement and as imposed to the punishment of criminal after crimes had taken place. He began a founder of the positivist schools and he researched psychological and social positivism as opposed to biological positivism of Lombroso. Oh, Ferry at Ferry at the time of Radical was elected to Italian Parliament in 1886. In 1893, he joined the Italian Socialist Party and edited their daily newspapers and Avanti, Avanti, the Avanti. In 1900 and 1904, he spoke at the Congress against the rule of socialist ministers in bourgeoisie governments. Very favored Italian neutrality during the World War One, and he was re-elected as Socialist Party deputy in 1921. In post-war Italy, he became a supporter of Mussolini's fa- fascist regime, and Ferry died in 1929. So next, Clifford Shaw and Henry D. Mackey. So this is Clifford Shaw in the left side and Henry D. Mackey is in the right side. Clifford Road Shaw in 1895 to 1957 was an American sociologist and criminologist. He was a major figure in a Chicago School of Sociology during the 1930s and 1940s and is considered to be one of the most influential figures in American criminology. His work on juvenile delinquency was Henry Mackey conducted in the late 1920s played a pivotal role in moving the study of such delinquency toward the discipline of sociology and away from physiology and psychiatry. So they are the founder of uh, their famous work, the juvenile delinquency. So what is delinquency? Juvenile delinquency is an as a criminal act of a human concerning or against towards the community. Shows and Makewer span three general areas studying geographic variation in rates of juvenile delinquency and the study of autobiographical works by delinquents and the development of Chicago area project, a delinquency prevention program in the Chicago area. The two studies published by Shaw and Mackey in the 1930s and 1940s were still held in high regard among social scientists in the 1970s. So that's all, and thank you for listening.